Hello guys, welcome back to the Crypto X Hunters channel. This is day 14 of the 21 days challenge of blockchain fundamentals. This is the point where we are entering into the industrial use cases of the blockchain. So today we are going to be touching three main subjects, namely homework on permission-based blockchain, homework on healthcare, and homework on manufacturing and supply chains. So stick with us for the upcoming minutes and let's dive deeper into these topics. So topic number one, homework on permission-based blockchain. Three questions. Question number one, let's go. What are the drawbacks of a permissionless public blockchain? So there are two main drawbacks here. We have privacy and scalability. See, scalability keeps coming back up because this is really an issue. So on the privacy level, let's just say for industries where sensitive information can be an issue, it's gonna really be an issue if anyone who has internet access can just access private information or information that is deemed private. This can be information of, let's say, for example, your healthcare information that is private for you. So in that industry, in the healthcare industry, for example, not everyone is going to have access to other people's health data. So on scalability, I think we've talked enough about scalability. Permissionless blockchain are not yet able to scale, or they cannot yet handle large amount of information or data. So that being said, big enterprises or big companies cannot yet dive into, or they cannot yet use a blockchain as it is of today. So they'll have to rely on other solutions. So question number two, what are the difference in terms of consensus algorithms between permissionless and permission-based blockchain? So it comes down to this. The word says it themselves. Permissionless means anyone with an internet access can just access the network and they can validate blocks. Meanwhile, on permission-based blockchain, only the creator of the blockchain or the trusted parties selected by this block creator or this blockchain creator are the ones who are going to be validating the blocks or running the nodes as it's stated. So question number three, how can a permission blockchain increase performance when it comes to execution of smart contracts? Well, in terms of permission based, the different trusted parties can execute parts of the contract, making it a type of a work offload. So it's like the saying, many hands makes the work lighter. So they can execute different parts of the contracts on other levels, so that the workload is brought down, and in this way scalability can be achieved. Meanwhile, on permissionless blockchain, there are other scalability can also be achieved. So for example, if you look at Bitcoin, I think we talked about this in the previous day. We have the Lightning Network solution that is being presented, but of course, as of today's, the Lightning Network hasn't yet been adopted because there are a lot of problems that needs to be dealt with. And of course, there are other blockchains out there that are bringing out other solutions they're attempting to be blockchain 3.0. And of course, we talked about blockchain 3.0, and we also said that the the advantages of blockchain 3.0, or the promises of blockchain 3.0, is that they were going to be able to scale or to solve the scalability issue with that is now residing in blockchain 1.0 and blockchain 2.0. So those were the questions on permission-based blockchain. Now we dive into healthcare, and here we have two questions. Question number one: what are some of the challenges when creating a global blockchain for healthcare? So the biggest challenge across the whole platform, let me just say, is going to be building a user-friendly platform, because not everybody knows about blockchain. So the platform needs to be as simple as possible for the end client or for the user. So it's a challenge building such a platform. And the second challenge also is going to be law, because in different countries have their own laws. So how do you build a platform and also take into accountability the laws that reside in in all these different countries? So that also seems to be a challenge. And of course, security, because as we talked about it on the previous section, data needs to be accessible to authorized parties, and this authority needs to be issued only by the owner of the data, so nobody else. So there have to be some layer of security to protect users data. So this actually, question number two: how will we handle privacy issues related to posting private health data on the blockchain? So on that, I think we just need to work with encryption. Like you can encrypt data, so that you need to bypass the encryption before having access to the underlying data. Those were the questions on homework on healthcare. But I personally also have something to add on this, because I listened to I think was it Bobby Lee, the brother of Charlie Lee, the maker of Litecoin, and basically he said something that got me thinking, and I agree with him on this point, because he said, like, blockchain, like the use cases of blockchain, it's not really what, like, for healthcare, it's not really a solution. And on one part I agree with him, but with the other part I don't agree with him. And the part where I agree with him is where he says that, for example, if you are diagnosed with cancer or something, and that information is put on the blockchain, well, that information is subjective, because that diagnosis is from one specific doctor. So who says that that information is actually correct? So that is something we also need to think about, because if you are wrongly diagnosed, in a sense, and yeah, you also know, I think in the country where I live, like, when something is accepted as truth, that seems to doom your future. So, like, for example, if let me say in Belgium, for example, if blockchain is adopted in a sense where insurance needs to access your health care information in order to provide you with insurance, and you are wrongly diagnosed on certain illnesses, well, that can be very, very disastrous, because, as you know, blockchain is immutable, so any information that goes on there, you cannot change it. So that is also something we need to think about, and that is the point where I agree with on Mr. Bobby Lee, but not on everything, because of course having all your data centralized and making it very easy for you to access without middleman is a very, very good thing. So those were my thoughts on healthcare. More on this in the future. Now, homework on manufacturing and supply chain. 3 questions here. So question number 1, what are the common denominators in the whole supply chain industry that makes it such a great area for blockchain solutions? Well, let me just start by saying we are now in a situation where different parties will need to share they will need to share information, and they don't necessarily trust each other, but because they all have the same goal in mind, so this blockchain solution can be a perfect solution for the future. So for example, we're talking about transparency and accountability. So this is going to be very, very interesting, because if companies wants to gain trust, they need to be transparent, and blockchain can provide this infrastructure where they are going to be transparent and also be accountable for anything that goes wrong. So in the blockchain, if you are transparent, you can see everything, and where the fault is originated, that party is going to be able to be held accountable. And of course, this also provides us with the possibility to track the origin of certain goods. And we also have real-time information, real-time data, so you can keep tracks of goods. Like if you have the origin point, and now in real time you see where your goods is moving from point to point before it gets back to you. So this is what we mean by real-time data tracking. And of course, we can also solve the problems of information silos. And here, this is where you have all these different companies, and they have their own data stored within their servers, but they don't necessarily communicate with each other. So here, this is where we talk about information silos, because the data are separated. They are not like connected like an API connection in a sense, for those who understand that. So this is where we can solve the information silos problem as well. And also, last but not least, because of this, we are also able to access certifications and documentations all in one place. So you don't need to go to 10, 20 different companies to access this documentation here and that documentation there and this document there and this certification there. No, all is centralized within the blockchain, and you can just access it from one point, and you don't have 10 or 20 different middlemen. So this is also very, very interesting. So question number 2, why could we not just use a central database for this? Well, I think with all the explanation I just did on question number 1, this also answers the question of question number 2, especially the part of information silos. I think that is the biggest answer. And of course, yeah, origin tracking. If you're using a central database, you have to trust the company providing all that data. And of course, you cannot really have real-time data tracking, because this is also involves trust. So essentially everything will just involve trust. Um, so question number 3, how can companies in the supply chain then be incentivized to become nodes in the network? Well, it's just a matter of them having a good reputation, because since all these companies, they aim to do business, and the people they're doing business with is the end client, so they need to earn the trust of the end client. So in order for them to do that, they will have to walk through their reputation. And in this sense, companies that are using the blockchain are going to have a better reputation in compared to companies that are not using the blockchain. So those are my answers for today's questions. To give you back a summary, we talked about permission-based blockchain, we talked about healthcare, what the challenges were in healthcare and how we could handle privacy. We also talked about manufacturing and supply chain, what the common denominators were in the whole supply chain industry, and why we could not just use a central database, and how companies could be incentivized to become nodes in the network. So if there were things that are left out, or if there are things that you think are also important to add to all this information that I said, or if you even think that there were some things that I said that was wrong, I invite you to leave down a comment below. If you're enjoying the topics, and if you're enjoying the content, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. There will be more crypto topics coming in the future, and the 21 days challenge is almost running to an end. So after this, we are going to move on to be talking about ICOs. We are going to be talking about masternodes. We are going to be talking about staking coins. We are going to be talking about a lot of things. So subscribe to this channel if you are also interested in the future. If you are interested in blockchain, and if you are interested in cryptocurrency, subscribe to this channel. That was it for today. See you in day 15.